Hello and welcome to this week's IG Live. Fingers crossed, we had a lot of technical problems yesterday when we normally do it, and thankfully this week's guest author, James Bird, was willing to work with us, and so we think we've got it all ironed out, so hopefully he will be on here, hello, and able to talk with us, and it is worth the wait because we're going to have a great interview for you. And we'll be talking to him about his middle grade novels. I have some of them here. He also has a new one out, Wolf Club. Usually here on Thursdays at 2 o'clock Eastern, but sometimes things happen, so that's why we're coming to you this morning. But if you aren't, wait, I think, yes, there you are, yay.
Hi.
Hi, good to actually see you.
Yeah, it actually worked.
Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you for being so patient and working through all the technical problems. That's great.
Yeah, I don't know what the problem was, but
Yeah.
I did a bunch of test runs and it worked. Now today, 3 out of 3. So
Oh, good. So I guess you figured out whatever it was. Well, we're happy to have you here and appreciate that you took the time to work it all out with us. But why don't we go ahead and get started? Some people hopefully had saw you on the virtual event we had on Wednesday. If you missed that, you can go back and watch it. That was our Native American Heritage Month virtual panel. It's now up on YouTube if you didn't get to watch it live. But so I think that probably got people excited to hear more from you. So why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself for those that don't know you, and tell us what was your journey to becoming an author?
okay, well, hello. My name is James Bird. I'm Ojibwe from the Grand Ridge, Ojibwe in Minnesota, but I was born in Southern California, or actually I was born in Northern California, but raised in Southern California. And I guess what brought me to be an author is I was always around storytelling. My mom, so we grew up really poor, and so we often lived in in the car or hotels or apartments that were basically condemned. So you had to like move out right away because cockroaches or the floor would collapse. And in really, really bad neighborhoods. So my mom would always tell me stories to keep me, I guess, optimistic and hopeful. And, after a while, you know, you're, my mom can't just make up so many stories that she would start telling the same story over again, but switch out characters. Or, on Monday, the good guy the main guy was the good guy, and on Tuesday he was a bad guy. So like my mom would tell me all these stories, just making it up as she went along, not knowing what she was doing, or maybe tapping into something that she didn't know she was tapping into. But it kind of gave me understanding of how stories are built. How like why why certain thyings matter. You know, you the way that she did it, I got to look at all perspectives and see like the side of every character, and all these locations, and how it was changing day by day, but the same story. But so I got to learn how to do storytelling just by listening to one story with 1,000 versions of that story. So as I grew up, I kind of realized that's how all stories are. Like there's only a handful of stories, but there's millions of versions of them. Like every story is about either like love, about being loved, or learning how to love, or being accepted, or learning how to accept. um so like when you get down to the root of every single story ever written and ever filmed, or every song ever sung, the stories are always the same. The stories are trying to connect with someone. And the great thing about storytelling is you could put that in a Western, you could put that in a sci-fi, you could put that in a drama, a horror, comedy. It's the same core. Yeah, and I learned that from as a little kid.
That is so fascinating. And it also kind of relates to, I read somewhere that you said that part of when you realized you could play around with language is that we're just working with 26 letters, and yet you can do so many different combinations. So in a way, you're kind of talking about like, well, there are only so many elements to a story, but you can combine them over and over in so many different ways. And so now a lot of people probably know you for your filmmaking, which I think is fascinating that you come from that to writing children's books. And so now you're also known for your award-winning middle grade novels. What do you love? Like, why did you choose that age group? What do you love about that age group?
Um, so there's a few things about that. I think that age group actually chose me before I chose it. When I first started writing, I didn't know middle grade was a thing. I never heard of middle grade before.
Yeah.
I knew my wife wrote YA, and I just knew that was young adult, but I didn't know the parameters or anything. Um, but now that I write for, you know, middle grade, I think I think they're the best readers because that's when you're introduced to reading books. That's
Right.
when so that's when the love starts, like the love at first sight or love at first hearing. That's when it starts. And I think kids are the best readers because as an author, it keeps you the sharpest. Because I think adults will read a boring book or read a book that they don't enjoy because they're trying to get something out of it, or they're trying to want to reach the end to figure out why maybe it sucks in the beginning, but at the end it will you know work out. uh, Kids don't do that. Kids will give you two paragraphs, and if it sucks, they will never pick up that book again. So I think I love that challenge of being like, okay, I have to write something, and I have to make a kid who could be choosing to play outside. He could be choosing sports. He could be choosing to play on his phone. He could be choosing anything else, drawing, or he'll read my book, or she'll read my book. And I like how kids don't pull any punches. You know, they'll they'll let you know right away if you're good or if you suck. And I love that adrenaline when I write and put it out there.
Right. So do you spend a lot of time on those beginning paragraphs then, knowing that's like, oh, this is when I gotta hook them?
No, I actually, ever since I started writing, I made myself a promise to never go back. Um, because I live in LA, I started off as a screenwriter and screenplay, and the best thing I learned for as a writer there is, I've had friends that were writing screenplays and they've been working on the same script for 3 years or 8 years, and I was like, I never want that to be me. And I realized they're doing that because they're so precious about everything. They'll edit the first page 15 times and then finally get to the second page. And for the most, I never finished, and it was me. So I made myself a promise that I'm going to start, and I will never go back and never edit or never look at what I wrote before until I hit the end. So I'm going to write, even if it veers off course, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's horrible, I will not go back until I am done and I have a full story. Then I can change it.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. And so tell us about your new book, Wolf Club, that just came out, of which I saw it was described as a cross between Breakfast Club and Hatchet. So tell us about the book and what was the inspiration.
Yeah, the greatest thing is I started doing little book tours, and it's getting compared to Goonies a lot, which is really cool because I didn't see that coming. Um, but yeah, that book's about um, figuring out your purpose in life, even if you don't believe in it or know what it is or have faith in it. Like it's it's very much in the book. They use medicine cards, like animal medicine cards, and I like how all cultures kind of have, like, the Vikings had their ruins, and the Native Americans had animals as symbols. you know, folklore, like Germanic folklore has like bones, and they always get these messages, right? And they always get like, or an oracle, you know, Britain had an oracle. So they always had these messages, and I liked the idea of playing around with that, but knowing like on the page it looks like it's these cards telling you where to go and how to do it and what this means, but really the real cards or the bones or the, you know, stones are the friends, and they just don't realize that you need people around you, and you learn from them, they learn from you, without, you know, without feeling like you had to teach anything. It's just whoever you're connected with is what pushes you forward in life. And for kids, I like to give them that idea of, you know, you think it's this helping you, but really you're helping them and they're helping you.
Right. Oh, that's cool, and it also kind of relates to. It seems like one theme that runs to in almost all of your books is this idea about being different, feeling left out. So, what do you hope that kids take away from this book?
I like I'd like for them to take away the fact that, like, you don't have even you don't have to be a reader to enjoy the book. Like, I was never a reader, you know, I couldn't read. Um, it took me 2 years to finish my first book that I read. Um, my brain wouldn't handle it. I always thought books were, you know, probably boring because you open it and every book looks exactly the same, you know, like it's a white page with black words. So how fun can that be? Um, but I like the fact that I could be proven wrong by playing with books. You know, I don't have to just have a grammatically correct, you know, coming of age story. I could actually have a story that pushes buttons, has a bunch of games inside, little hidden messages, little wordplay, uh, you know, secret codes in there.
Mm.
I like to give people that on like a Native American level, like people that have never seen themselves in a book now see themselves. I like the fact that which school, I don't know if it's still the same, but when I was at schools, I went to many schools, being weird was always a disadvantage, or being, you know, different was always made you the outcast. And all of my books, I try to promote that the being different, um, odd, weird is actually kind of like a cool gift, that there's ways to use it where everyone would wishes they were weird at the end.
Right. Like I think I mentioned before, my copy of Wolf Club didn't come in time because somebody else already had, like several other people already have it checked out from the library, so which is good. That means people are enjoying it. But I did get to read some of your other books, like Brave, and that I can see that, like, again, this is a kid who's been kind of labeled as being slow or kind of a troublemaker, and then his native mother, helps him see that actually he has a gift, and the way he sees the world and what makes him so weird to everybody else is actually very cool and actually kind of a gift. And so how does Wolf Club and your other books, how does it help kids kind of think past labels? Because that was one thing that struck me, is like, because you have these three kids who on the surface, especially there's one who's kind of a bully, you don't think that they would get along, you don't think that they would be able to work together, and yet they kind of find that friendship, and then they find their own inner strength. So how does your book help kids kind of think about kind of labels that people put on other people or that we might put on ourselves, and kind of help them kind of think past that?
So in these three characters in Wolf Club, for that exact question that you just asked, I proposed three different solutions. So it's like, the main kid, he's trying to figure it out the whole time. He's a fake it till you make it
Mm-hmm.
kind of guy. Like he's listening to his dreams. He doesn't know if his dreams are actually from, you know, his grandma or like his ancestors, or if it's actually his creative mind. Um, but he decides to just fake it till he makes it. He's gonna dive in, right? Uh, the bully character Moose, you see the way that he deals with it is either violence or some kind of power. And I try to show how every bully you meet is, and every bully I've known in my life, it's not just they wake up and want to be mean. A lot of them are bullied at home. Like I knew a bully that everyone was afraid of on the block, and then when he gets home behind closed doors, he's bullied. He's terrified of his dad. And so he would come outside and try to be tough and try to be like his dad, because every boy probably wants to be like their dad a little bit, because that's your nature. So his was, he was trying to do everything right by doing everything wrong. Mm-hmm. And the girl skunk character, what she was going through, I just had her fully embrace it. So like if she smells, and people call her skunk, she actually like dived in and was like, that's my name, Skunk. Everybody call me Skunk. She even asked her teachers to call her Skunk. She wants it to become so normal that no one bothers to tease her anymore, because it's just everything they say is true. Right. So it's like all these three different approaches, because I think these are the three main ones that kids go through. And by the end of it, how you conquer that is by not trying to solve your problem, but trying to help a friend solve their problem. And because then it's like a cycle. Then I help you, you help him, he helps them, they help me. Like everything becomes fixed by trying to fix someone else. Like, the hurt people, but helping people helps you, type of thing.
Right. It almost kind of goes back to the idea of friendship, but also kind of community, how like that idea of community care, that we help heal each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because your book does talk about trauma, and I think that they kind of, a lot of your books do mention about kids who are going through really difficult experiences. So kids who are reading your book that might identify with some of the things that the characters are going through, or that have been through some other kind of difficult experience themselves, what do you want them to learn out of this story? I mean, you've kind of talked about that more, but could you go into that a little more? What do you want them to kind of take away from it?
Just that, being different is okay. Being, not having everything figured out is okay. I even, when I went to school, how people say like, and this is controversial, but like how everyone says like violence solves nothing, but a lot of those people have never been bullied. So like I always wanted to make it a point, personally from my experience too, standing up and punching a bully does usually solve being bullied. Like if I could go back and every person that teased me, if I punched them, I would probably save myself a lot of getting teased. Because when I started, my mom actually walked me down to the bully that, was bullying me, and was like, you're a warrior. You gotta be a warrior here. You can't run, And she actually waited until when he started bullying me, until I punched him. And when I punched him, he never bullied me again, So I wanted that to be in there too, and I didn't want the whole book to be about that, because that's not a good message, But I did want certain kids to get the nod of like, yeah, fighting back is important too.
Mm. And what about, did you mention like the main character is an Ojibwe boy, and it does weave in kind of Ojibwe beliefs and storytelling. And you kind of mentioned it before, but I wonder if you could talk about it more, about how your book helped, or all of your books help Native American kids feel seen and feel validated, that maybe they've never seen themselves in a book before.
Yeah, I think it's like really important, because like history, what America did to Native Americans is they tried their hardest to erase us and sweep us under the rug. And, it was illegal to even speak our language. It was illegal to, outside of the reservation, sometimes to just be Native American, to exist. there are certain cases where you're shot on sight, you know. So with all that trauma, now we get a chance to, okay, that was a huge pause because huge pause of sharing of how we communicate, how we share our traditions, our beliefs, our lives, our lessons down generation by generation by generation. Well, America put a huge pause on that, and now we get a chance to pick up where we left off. So it's kind of, you know, our duty as Native Americans to get as many books, songs there to show, you know, other Native American kids uh, where the ball was dropped. Well, I'm trying to pick it up and I'm trying to pass it down, you know, and we have a lot fighting against us in that, and it's a lot harder now in some ways, but also access is a lot easier. Like I could do a book and meet a Native American through my writing that lives 100 miles away, you know, and a movie, you know, if they have a streaming, they could see one of my films or, you know, songs. Now you can look up Native artists. So I think Native Americans, we need to, you know, fully embrace and support each other to have this huge influx of all of our art and all of our stories reaching the kids again, because we got to pick up where we try to break this down.
Yeah, and I know I saw that you had mentioned somewhere that you wanted to encourage other Native Americans to listen to the voice in their head that tells them to tell that is telling them to tell stories, because the storytelling especially was so important, right? Can you talk more?
Yeah, yeah. That I mean, that's how we did everything. That's how we learned to hunt through stories. You learned how to do family through stories. You learned what to eat and what not to eat through stories. You learned, you know, what animals to fear, what how to beat that animal that you fear. Like all about weather, or and everything that they learned. Everything was done verbally through stories, and it was great. You know, we did have some written work, like the birch scrolls, the birch bark, but a lot of it was verbal, and that kept you connected. You know, you can't be isolated. You can't be like an introverted, isolated Native American back then, because you can't just go hide off and read a book by yourself and learn something. You had to be a part of the community. You had to be an active member of the family. You had to listen to those stories. You had to learn how to tell those stories when you got older. And I think that's a great, great way to connect. And I'm trying to just do that, you know, the best I can. That's like, you know, if my book make a movie or try to make a song or try to paint or something, I'll try to do anything to get it out there, because it's in our blood. We have to do it. It's and even if a Native American doesn't want to be an author, or if they want to even be a doctor, then they have to hold a class and teach, you know, and they have to do videos. Like there's something in your head that has to tell stories. You know, it is our way of life. You go all around the world. That's what we're known as. Like I was in Europe. I was just in London, in Scotland, and every time I talked about, you know, they're like, oh, what, you know, no one could guess my race because my face. I always either get like Japanese or Mongolian or Tibetan,
Right.
or Mexican. But every time I reveal Native American, they're always like, "Oh, you guys are known as like the best storytellers on earth." Like Ireland comes second. It's the Native American, then the Irish, and I think that's for a reason. You know, like, so I think that's what we have to do always. You know, no matter what your profession is, you have to tell stories.
I love that you're taking it to like something that was a tradition, and yet you could take it into so many different kind of realms today, like you with the filmmaking or the books, or like you said, even just if you're a doctor, you know, you're teaching, like that storytelling is more has so many different aspects or so many different uses than maybe we always think of it. You know, that is something that you can incorporate into anything, any profession.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so tell us, I want to be respectful of your time because we're coming up on a half an hour, especially because I know how much extra time you put into making this IG Live happen. So can you tell us what is next for you? I mean, you have a book that just came out. Are you already thinking toward or working on another one, or what are you working on now?
So yeah, so Wolf Club just came out. I just turned in my latest book that is coming out next year, and that's with my editor right now. But I think it's
Sorry, we lost you a little bit. Can you say that again? What is it? What is it about?
Oh, it's the title changes a little bit so far, but right now it's called The Boy in the Tree, and it's about a boy who kind of has like a vision quest in a tree. It doesn't come out until he learns who he is and why he's in this world. Um, and that was a part of a 2-book deal, so I'll have another one coming out after that. And I just turned in a anthology about, it's like a collection of stories from a bunch of authors, called That Animal Saved My Life. And that one's about, each author will tell a story about how an animal saved their life. And right now I'm writing a Native American, instead of fairy tales, it's scary tales. And it's like 5, you know, campfire scary stories to tell, you know.
I can't wait. But I was going to say about the animal stories because I know that that's something really important to you. I can't remember which film it was of yours. You said was the first like cruelty-free film that had been made where no animals were harmed or eaten or during the creation. So I know that's something that's really important to you, and that you can see show up again in Wolf Club.
Yeah, I think I think back in the days, we had to eat animals to survive, but I think it was like a process of, you know, that's how we had to do it. We had to build fires to stay warm too. But, we live in a house where you're not building a fire to stay warm. So I think I'm trying to like evolve past, eating animals. Those parts of the world that are there, parts of the world that aren't there. But I do think like on a Native American level, it's very controversial because of hunting and a lot of Native American beliefs is, eating animals is perfectly the way that you survive. But my take is, humans went too far. We went too far. We're factory farming. That was never part of the plan. We're killing them, billions of animals a year, millions of cows, millions of pigs a day. So I think although there are people that are eating meat and are perfectly fine, well, I choose to be the other kind to try to balance it, that I'm not going to eat meat. And I think we, as Native Americans of this land, have to protect the animals. So I try to do everything I do to protect animals and rescue animals and not eat them because I know the other side is, you know,
Out of balance.
doing that.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for the new projects you have coming out, and of course, congratulations on Wolf Club that has just come out and has gotten a lot of praise. So, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today, and like I said, for making it work because we were supposed to have done this yesterday. So I appreciate all the time and effort you put into it, and for speaking with us today. And anybody who's joined us late, this will be up on Instagram in just a few minutes. We'll have it up on our YouTube probably by this evening. So thank you so much. It was so great to talk with you.
Yeah, thank you. And let's do it again soon.
Yes, I'd love to. Bye, everybody. And I'm sorry, I should say we'll share when your new stuff comes out. Of course, we will share with our audience as well and our stories. So
Perfect.
thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.